welcome to part 2 of Project Firebird. I've done a fair bit of work, as you can probably see, but before I went any further I thought I would talk about what I've done and where I'm going, and also I need to do a bit of landscaping, so I thought I'd share that with you as well. So without further ado, let's get on with it. So the first thing I'd show you is the interior. This is it's not quite a bucket seat, but it really is there. Just get my pointer. And these things had to go on here, and there's a huge seam there. You can probably see it as a huge seam there. I did that with a bit of sprue glue. If you don't know what sprue glue is, I do believe I have a video on it, so go and have a watch of it. And there was a huge gap there. That's better, you can see it now, can't you? Yeah. There's a huge gap there, and I just filled that in with sprue glue, and the same on the other side as well. And these do stick out a fair bit because they're where the doors actually click onto, and obviously you can see the inside, and that's the dashboard, and it has a very nice thing to go in there, a nice little inlay. Just get it for you. That's the center console, that goes in there like that. While I'm on this subject, I'm unfortunately gonna have to give all of this a good bleaching bath. The wheels are okay, the wheels are fine, so I can use those. I'm gonna have to spray in amongst all that gold, and then wipe off the excess to get the rims the look back. But when I had a look at the pictures of this dashboard, the only thing that's really chromed is around the instruments. Not the instruments themselves aren't exactly chromed, so that is a problem. And these rocker covers are fine, but this one here, I don't know if you can see it, it's actually got like a mark on it, you know, so that needs sanding off, and if I sand it like that, it's going to take the chrome off it. So I might as well take the chrome off it and then sand it and then respray it. And this is just overly shiny for what it is. These parts here are actually a custom modification you can do. You can have custom seats in it, and you can have custom exhaust and all sorts really. But I'm not going to use those. Those will go into my spare bucket for another project. And obviously there's the exhaust tips there that will go on to the end of the exhaust, which I'll show you now. But they need sanding down and smoothing up as well. They've got excess on them. So a bit unfortunate with that, but that's just the way it is in the world of modelling. Just finishing off the interior, we've got the steering wheel, which I'm really pleased about. Oh, wrong way. There's the steering wheel, which I'm really pleased about, and as you can see, it's actually a really decent size, and that goes onto the dashboard like that. That goes in like that, and try and get it in shot for you, and you get the idea that that's how it will go. Yeah, unfortunately it doesn't move, but you know, that's just one of those things. Finish off the rest of the interior, we have the seat chair. The seats are really nice here. They even bend forward as they would do in the real cars, so the rear passengers can get in and out. It's very clever. There was also custom seats, but I don't want to use them. And as you can see, they're really nice seats. I really do like them. I have done a fair bit of work on them, but they need sanding up and smooth, and more sanding and smoothing. And I'll do that off screen, because that'll probably take me a couple of days to do that. And you can see the actual seam mark very prominent. You can see the seam mark there very prominent, and also on the seat, and that needs to be sanded right down to get rid of that. Otherwise, when you spray on this, you put the primer on it and then put the top coat and the lacquer on it, you will see that seam, and it'll just spoil the effect, you know. Okay, so moving on to the exhaust. This is the exhaust that I have chosen, and the exhaust tips actually go onto here. You know, this actually sits on the bottom like that, and the exhaust come out there like that. And there's a bit that goes on there, and then this latches on here and latches on there like that. He says, there we go, it goes on like that, and then the whole thing goes onto the car, and that's the exhaust. And these are the exhaust manifolds. They go onto the engine, and it's a strange way they've done it actually. Those two holes there, yeah, correspond with these two here, so it sort of goes into a loop. If you can think of it, it actually goes into a loop around the engine like that. and then the exhausts go off it like that. So it will look something like that, you know. Bit strange, but that's the way that General Motors did it, so that's the way that I'll do it. And there's the rear axle. This also needs smoothing off. As you can see the seam lines there, and also on there and there where I've joined it, and that'll need a complete smoothing off as well, you know. Moving on to the chassis. We'll move on to the chassis. There's not much here to see. It's really very nicely detailed. They even put the camera should be able to get it, but you can just see it there. You can see the weld marks, which is really very clever. The only thing I put on there is the fuel tank, and there's all the wiring and the cabling that I will be highlighting. So there's not much to see there, but it is very highly detailed. We have the doors. There's one door card. I haven't glued them on, so I'm just holding it with my fingers. And I've put the mirror on as well, and as you can see, I reinforced it with some sprue glue, because there's not a lot there to really hold it on. So I put some sprue glue all around it, and that needs sanding and smoothing off. But it's actually really nice, and as you can see, it's actually got the motif there of the eagle, which I'll be highlighting out. See if I can get it a bit closer for you. Is that you can see the actual part that you grab to open and close the door and rest your arm on it, and there's the hinge there. I do believe that's some sort of open and close button. Yeah, and there's the eagle in there. So I'll be painting all that as well, and I'll be detailing that and picking up the detail on that. And it's the same with the other one as well. The only difference is, and I'm a bit annoyed about it, but it can't be helped. You know, this is the world of modelling. Is I got a great big hole. I don't know what happened there, but probably in the manufacturing. I can actually put my scalpel blade all the way in there. So I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle that. I'll probably have to glue this together and then fill that in, which I don't want to do, because I actually want to have these two separate, because they're going to have two different types. This will be gold, and then this will be yellow. But if I put them together, then it's going to make a lot of work for me to do. So I'm going to have to try and figure out a way of filling that in without actually gluing these together, because that is a fair gap there. I thought it was actually part of the kit. It's not. It's actually a defect. So NPC, you might want to look at your molds and just check them, because that is obviously a definite fault there. But I'll work it out. Got the bonnet as well. Bonnet is a really nice big bonnet, and I put the hinges on it, and they're all lined up, and that looks really nice. And the air cleaner, when it's actually on the car, the air cleaner will actually poke through it like that, so it'll look really nice. And we have the sun visors. Yeah, I'll show you where these will go in a minute. And while I'm here, I might as well show you the body, because there is a fair bit to talk about on the body. I put the rear spoiler on, and the rear bumper, and I put the front bumper on. And have I put anything else on? Yes, I've also put this. I'm not sure what this is called, but I know it's some sort of housing. So I put that on, and as you can see, there was a really big gap there. You know, just getting sure there was a really big gap there. So I filled that in with sprue glue, and I let it dry. All this sprue glue needs a good another day or two to fully dry and harden as well. It is hard now, but it's not hard enough to be able to sand on. You know, that's the big problem with sprue glue, is that it does take a while to fully cure. You know, but then again, it is homemade stuff. But it's absolutely wonderful, you know, to work with. What was I going to say? Yes. So where I put the front bumper on, it has like these front splitters. The splitter, and it didn't. These front splitters, didn't quite fit properly. So as you can see, I've had to basically fill in the gaps with sprue glue, and there you go, you can see what I'm on about now. I've had to fill these gaps in with sprue glue, so they're going to have to be. I'm actually going to have to. Which side is it? It's that one. I'm actually going to cut that off there, and then sand all this, to get it to go all nice and smooth and flat and fit in perfectly, and that will look really nice. That will do. But once again, it needs drying and hardening. And it's the same on the back really with the spoiler. There was a huge gap here. Just get it in camera shot. There you go. There was a huge gap here that was running all the way along there, and as you can see, I've not only filled it with sprue glue, but I have to let it dry, and I have to push that down and hold it with my fingers for several minutes to get it to actually adhere to. So if you're watching MPC, just check your molds, because there are some issues there, but not major ones, but they're more than enough to make an amateur go, ooh, I'm not sure if I want to do this. But as pros, it's not really a problem, but we do appreciate that for the amateurs it is a big problem. But once again, I'm going to leave this another day or two, and I want this to fully harden, and I'll be able to sand that down and get it really smooth and get the blend in. As you can see, that on the back side there'll be a clear part in here, and I'm going to put some lights in there. I haven't quite figured out the lights yet, but I will do. And these here are actually what I'll be showing you and what I'll be cutting out. I'm not really happy with these. It's simulating. I'm not sure what they're for. I know there's some sort of intake, but I'm going to cut these out, and then I'm going to replace them with some of this, and I think that'll look much better in there than just a nasty bit of plastic. And I've got my trusty drill here as well, which we will be doing in a minute, you know. And that's pretty much it with the body. The whole thing needs smoothing and sanding off. There's quite a lot of seam marks running from there all the way along there, and then all along there, so all that needs smoothing off and getting rid of. But like I said, I'll be doing that off camera. And as you can see here as well, all this where I've been gluing it and fingering it and basically getting it to fit into shape, all needs smoothing off, and there's bits sticking out as well. On the rear ones like this, yeah, I've got a fair bit of excess there, you know, so that needs trimming off and sanding down and smoothing to basically fit in with it. And as you can see, more sprue glue, but it's not a problem. That's what sprue glue is for. And these parts here, where are they? These parts here actually fit into the front. So where we got our front like this, these actually go in, and I do believe that one goes in that side like that, and this one goes in this side like that. Whoop, wrong way, like that. And they're the indicators and front fog lights, and I'm probably be lighting those as well, but we'll see yet. So we'll just pop those out and put those to one side. Now moving on to the most interesting part, which is the engine. I'll get all the, oh, I forgot about the sun visors, didn't I? Do apologise. The sun visors actually go in here. You can actually see there's two little marks. There's one by here and there's one there, and the sun visor just literally sit on there like that, you know, and that's how they'll be inside. So moving on to the more interesting part, which is the engine, and I'll bring all the parts out so we can see them and talk about them. So it is actually a really highly detailed pad, and obviously starting with the engine. I've had a good old look at this, and I'm going to spray this blue, maybe red, I don't know yet. I may even spray it like a chrome, I don't know yet, I haven't quite decided, but as you can see it's very highly detailed, and I'm really happy with that. It also needs a lot of sanding. You can see all the seam marks that are running up here and all the way down here. I'm not bothered about on here, because on there, that's where the manifold sits like that. Yeah, the manifold will sit like that, and then the air cleaner will sit. There's another part that goes on top of there, but I have to dechrome it first, and then the air cleaner goes on top like that. Yeah, and then the final part sits on top, so the whole engine will basically look like that, you know. And I think that'll look really nice, that will, actually, when it's all done. But obviously this needs smoothing off, because there's a lip on there as well, so that needs sanding down, and this needs a fair bit of sanding as well, especially on here, on all around there where it came out of the mould, needs sanding and smoothing off. And this just needs spraying silver and black, and that's that bit done. But this needs a fair bit of work doing on it, so obviously I'll have to do that off camera, and I'll be using wet and dry for that. This is part of the fan shroud. Now I am going to spray this black. Now in some photos I've seen, some people have this part here which is faces up, because this goes into the car like this. This fits in the car like that, and it sits there like that. Like that. Now some people have this upper part metal, and other people have it sprayed black. I'm going to stick with General Motors theme, and I'll be spraying the whole of the fan shroud in semi-gloss black, because it's not really the focus of the engine. The focus of the engine is the engine itself, so that's what I'll be spraying. And then of course we got the fans and the pulleys and all the bits and pieces that go with it. So we'll talk about these. So obviously there's the fan, and that goes on the front of the engine like this. Just get it in place. If I can get it there. There we go. That goes on the engine like that. And you can see that's really nice, and then the fan fits on there like that. That will look really nice. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm really happy, you know, and that fits on there perfectly. I've had to do a bit of sanding and filing to get it to fit tidy, but that's not really a problem. And on here we got, obviously this one is that the actual fan itself. That is part of the aircon. I'm not too sure. I think that's part of the alternator. And these parts, and those two parts, just literally this one here. This fits in here like that. And that is actually part of the air conditioning system. Whoop. And that is actually part of the alternator. And that fits onto, where is it? That fits onto there, like that. So that's how you see how it fits on there, like that. So it's, so when it's facing front, that's how it will look. So that's pretty much everything that I've done and what I'm planning on doing. So we'll put all this to one side, out the way, because we don't want it running away, as they say. And I thought I would get on with, as a matter of fact, I'll put all of this into the box, because that's where it all should be anyway. So all in the box, out the way. So what I'm going to be doing now is, as I already said, I'm going to be doing a bit of landscaping of the actual car itself. Those air intakes, I'll be cutting those out and putting in that nice mesh that you seen me holding up earlier on. So that's what I'm going to be doing now, just putting all this away, because you just know that if you don't put all this away, it will just vanish into a little crevice of your home, never to be seen ever again. We just don't want that now, do we? Yeah? Instruction manuals as well, they can go in there as well. Okay, and of course we'll leave that out because I'm sure you guys will want to see what I'm on about. So let's get on with it. We'll start off with a fairly big size, and then yeah, that's going to fit nicely, isn't it? That's going to fit really nicely there in there. I'll be able to drill that and then be able to cut around it. So we'll just find the size we need. I do believe the size is in there already. No, it's not. I did have it right the first time. So we'll just put that in there like that. Nope. Third time lucky. There we go. Fits in there perfectly. That goes in there. Now we put the sheath on, then screw the whole lot down, making sure that it's actually gripping onto where you actually see the thread run out. You want it to grip onto the actual metal part, not the thread. If you do, you'll be weakening it. And then we're just simply going to drill this out. We'll go in by there, I think. We'll make a little pilot hole, as they say. That's that started. Now, you see it there okay? And now we're just going to cut around it and just So there we go, there's the hole made, and this is what I'm planning on doing. So I think that will look much better with that instead of that. I think that looks much better. It needs cleaning up and tidying up, but it's going to look much better with that than it will do with that. So I'm going to go off and finish that off and do some sanding and smooth everything off and get it ready for painting, and then I'll be back and show you guys the finished project and do some painting. So until then, you all take care and have an awesome weekend.